Welcome back to Football Daily. It's lovely to have Dave from Squawka here, Squawka Dave, and Adam from BlueMoonRisingTV, a brand new Man City channel, because we're going to talk about the Manchester derby. Man City won 1-0 in the end, but there are some events just before that probably went towards it.
Yes.
The red for Chris Smalling for a start?
Well, it's a red card.
Yeah?
He shouldn't be tackling Joe Hart as a centre-half.
Awkward.
Which was just stupid, and then he's just thrown himself at Milner. So I don't think there can be any complaints.
It was just like ludicrous. You're a centre-back, like 10 minutes into the game, why get booked? You're sort of standing on a very thin line then, aren't you, for the rest of the game? It's just a bit stupid, really.
Van Gaal did call him stupid and said he felt very silly in the dressing room and apologised. He probably was much more vitriolic about it when actually talking to Chris Smalling. But do you think that changed the game?
I think so, completely. Well, City were a little bit on top. They had some nice spells of possession, but overall, in the game, I think the red card completely ruined it, really. But City should have had 3 penalties, you'd say. The 3 challenges, one from Fellaini, that were just blatant penalties. Refereeing's got to improve, maybe. The red card was definitely a red card, but then there's other parts of the game that potentially could have been different.
Did City deserve to win?
Yeah, and I don't think anyone will deny that. I think overall we deserved to. I think before the red card, I think we were starting to put together some really good football. We've really struggled at the moment to finish teams off, and I think again yesterday that showed. So that's the one worry. However, with some of the refereeing decisions, if say before half time United could be down to 9, possibly 1-0 up through the penalty, I think it would have been a completely different game, and Dave might not even be here now. So
he'd still be crying himself to sleep.
Exactly. But I still don't think we're anywhere near our best.
Why?
There's just something missing. Something just hasn't clicked yet.
Isn't
this
that always
season.
the argument with City? That's always we just need one. If only we. It just that.
It is, yeah. But last season it was always, there's something missing. It clicked and we won the league. So I think
arguably because you won it possibly by default in a way.
Because
no one else was good enough.
You've still got to win the games. But something just isn't clicking. Whereas last season we were beating teams 5, 6, 7-0. This season we're going 1-2-0 up, like CSKA a couple of weeks ago. And then we just cannot finish them off.
Interesting. The question that some people are asking is, are City one injury away from Aguero and therefore not getting anywhere this season?
Potentially, which is worrying. Silva was out for the derby and we were fortunate we didn't miss him. I think we will miss him for the next couple of weeks, but we're just going to have to get over that. It's up front. If one of Aguero, even Dzeko gets injured and leaves the responsibility on the other's shoulders, that could be an issue. Now we've got no Negredo. He's obviously away at Valencia and he'll move there permanently. It is a worry that we've only got 3 strikers. The other worry is if there's an injury to a defender. We bought, I think, well in Mangala. He hasn't come good yet, but he's only 23. He's bound to come good. But say Company gets injured, I don't think anyone would be too comfortable with a back 2 of Demichelis and Mangala. So, in answer to your question, potentially. But aren't all clubs, that's how I'd put it, aren't all the big teams 1, 2 injuries away from not being the top club?
It's right to say that neither side really looked at their best, did they? United with their worst start since 1986. Van Gaal out.
No.
No? It's awkward though as well, isn't it? Because that was the most expensive starting lineup ever in Premier League history for Manchester United. Awkward. United and United fans themselves may have been a little taken in by the name of Louis van Gaal ahead of actually what he's doing at the club. Whilst this is a slight improvement, possibly not even an improvement on David Moyes right now, have you been taken in by the veneer of Louis van Gaal and the slight improvement of what he has done?
It'll come good. It takes time. You've got to give the manager time. You can't make massive judgments after 4 months. If his changes are going to come in, he's changing. The brand of football is going to be different. Yeah. The style's different. The philosophy is different. Everything's different. That isn't going to change, in half a season. It's going to probably take a full season for United to get back onto track. We've still got to buy some players. I think we've still got to get some more defenders. Make that more solid. But it's Louis van Gaal. I think he'll come good in the end.
And I'm going to ask you, Adam, who's going to finish higher in the Premier League?
I think it's quite straightforward, really. I think if City don't finish above United, then
they'll finish lower.
Then it's going to be a bit embarrassing for us.
I think United will have a good period after Christmas. I think that's when we'll start playing well. Dependent how far Man City get in the Champions League and other competitions, you could see the games rocking up. If Aguero gets injured, scored 50% of Man City's goals in the Premier League this season. So if he goes, potentially Man United could be above City, but I do think City will be above United.
Let's go to the Bundesliga. Literally. Bayern Munich 2, Dortmund 1. Ooh.
A sad day for German football.
Why?
Oh no, I just think because the way that Dortmund played early on, and when they went 1-0 up, I think they just threw it away. And it was a shame really, because some of that counter-attacking football is breathtaking. The pace of Aubameyang is terrifying. Royce as well, and then you've got Kagawa, who's a new man back at his old club. But yeah, I think Bayern Munich do what all good champions do.
The good thing about the game was Klopp won the first half tactically, and you'd say Guardiola won the second half. Klopp started out playing like a sort of false nine system, more like a 4-4-2 diamond, you'd say. Very narrow. Worked brilliantly. Bayern Munich didn't know what to do. They're playing a sort of 3-5-2. Dortmund outnumbered in the midfield. They kind of controlled the game, you'd say, in the first half. Really, really ran the show. Kagawa completed 15 passes in the final third, more than any other Dortmund player, obviously just behind a few Bayern players because they loved the ball. But then Guardiola really changed it. They went to sort of a 3-3-4 at the end, with Ribéry on one side, Robben on one side, and Muller and Lewandowski through the middle, which completely changed the game. And in that same period, just before the goal, Dortmund had switched to a sort of a 4-4-1-1 shape, which just gave them the initiative. Maybe Klopp got it wrong then. Maybe it was a mistake from Klopp, and that he potentially needs to change his style in a way and keep the diamond.
I think Robben and Ribéry as well, when they were playing together in the same team, which I can't remember the last time they've properly clicked like that in the same team. And Robben is 34 now, isn't he? And he seems to be getting quicker, which is...
But he doesn't look any younger. So,
no.
He hasn't aged for years, though, has he?
Yeah, that's because he aged all at once at 22. Dortmund now find themselves 17 points behind Bayern Munich in 17th place. That's only one position off bottom in the Bundesliga. I mean, it doesn't look great for Dortmund in the first place. They might not even make Champions League this season at that rate.
I think they'll come good. I think, again, it's the injury problem. Like, Hummel's out, Royce has been out. They're all coming back now, and they look stronger. They did look good in the first half against Bayern Munich, and if they can continue that form against the weaker side, they'll blow them away with that pace.
It's a lot of points to make up, though. I mean, they're basically I think it's 14 points off a couple of other sides in the top. It's difficult, and that almost makes Bayern Munich look uncatchable, because the sides sitting just behind them they've lost a couple of players. It's not really looking good for anyone who's trying to catch Bayern Munich, is it? Not
really, no. You've got a massive game this weekend with Borussia Dortmund playing Mönchengladbach, so that is, if Dortmund lose that, then potentially they might not make top four, like we said before, but it'll be interesting.
What's strange is Dortmund look so good in Europe.
Yeah.
And it's bizarre. They look so good in Europe, and then in the league they just can't beat anyone.
The system works, doesn't it, in Europe in that sense?
There's a few good teams in the Bundesliga, but I think a lot of the teams are beatable, and if they can pick up that form again, I think they'll be right up there. They won't ever catch Bayern Munich now. They're out of sight, and but they're going to win it even earlier this year at this rate. So it's a shame, really, because there's no competition, really, is there, for the title?
Liverpool Brendan Rodgers continue to impress in the Premier League with their impressive away form. 1-0 to Newcastle away. A lot of people saying Liverpool look blunted.
I'd say they are. I think Mario Balotelli just doesn't really fit.
Oh, for God's sake.
It doesn't fit at all, and I think that's one of the problems with it all. Tempo-wise, starts with Gerrard, and the tempo against Newcastle wasn't good enough. It wasn't quick enough, wasn't sharp enough. They kept on looking for Moreno on the far side, looking for the long balls. Keep it short, play it around the midfield, then go out, then switch the play. Don't just look for the balls straight away. And I think Balotelli, obviously, with the tempo, he's not going to bring anything up in the attacking third. He's not going to explode like Aguero or Suarez or Sanchez. He's just a bit it just doesn't fit.
Quite static. Arguably, he needs a strike partner, someone like Daniel Sturridge.
I'd agree with Dave there. I wouldn't say that he's a bad player, Balotelli. He just doesn't fit with the style Liverpool played last season. They are blunted completely, and they just seem to have lost the whole buzz and system that impressed so many people last season.
But I thought credit to Newcastle, they were really good. They were structured. They had a clear plan, attacking down the flanks. Obertan looked good before he went off injured again. Yeah. Another injury for Obertan. His career's never going to kick off. Then that Aaron Rowans that came on, very positive.
Fast.
First thing that he did, beat Gerrard. Take Gerrard on, beat Gerrard, win a free kick, perfect stuff. So I think with Pardew, it's positive for them.
Yeah, four wins there against some pretty good teams as well. Newcastle United now on the same points as Manchester United, the other important United in the league, and just 1 point behind Liverpool and Spurs. Pardew out.
It's crazy, isn't it, how fickle football fans can be. I think what it does show is if you give the manager a bit more time, give him a bit more faith, And then when they start playing, he looks like a god now, doesn't he, Pardew?
They've gone back to basics, haven't they?
Exactly,
I mean, arguably against Liverpool, they did play some very basic but quite important football that they needed to play at this stage. And the reason it's important is because they need to get that confidence back. They need to get the strikers going again. And I mean, they do actually have a pretty good strike force up there. They've got some options that they can now exploit. The difference is it's almost completely flipped. There is now a hashtag on Liverpool's Twitter, obviously. Not on Liverpool FC's Twitter, but on Twitter in general. It says, Rodgers out.
Too soon. Again,
Too soon?
Similar with the Pardew thing. You'd
Which
say
9-year-old set that up?
No, it's ridiculous, isn't it? 10 games into the season.
Liverpool with a couple of tricky fixtures coming up now. Confidence is low. What does Rodgers do to turn this around? What about having 2 Italians up front for Liverpool? Barini as well.
I'd probably go with maybe Barini, Sterling, Coutinho in behind, or potentially you're going to go with Balotelli, Barini, Sterling behind that, and then Coutinho back a bit deeper in midfield maybe. So you've got quite a lot of pace around, you've got a lot of pressing with the likes of Barini. Barini puts a shift in, doesn't he? He does work hard.
Arsenal 3, Burnley 0. Alexis Sanchez being another highlight yet again. He's having a great season, and Wenger says that it's only South American strikers who do well now. Eh?
Fair point.
Is it?
Well, you're looking at like the top strikers in world football. Most of them are, you say, South American, bar Cristiano Ronaldo. You've got Messi, Falcao,
Sanchez.
Aguero. Suarez.
You know, a lot of players like that, but Sanchez was absolutely brilliant. He scored 10 goals in his last 11 appearances for Arsenal, so he's really kicking on. What I like most about his performance was just how much he got involved, how much he likes to beat a man, how many he brings players in the game. He was just brilliant. 9 take-ons, more than anyone over in the Premier League this weekend. The most shots in the Premier League this weekend. He was just brilliant.
Is there an element of Suarezization in there that it may lead to a little bit of inertia in a sense in the side? We'll just keep getting through because of Sanchez. Other people's performances maybe don't look as impressive in comparison.
I think it's just because he's been playing so well. I just think he's overshadowing what else is going on behind him. But obviously he wouldn't be able to do it without the team behind him, would he? But I think he's been incredible. I thought it'd take him a long time to get used to the physicality, but then you look at him and he's built. He's huge for a short guy. He's built like Aguero, but out wide. But then he can still score goals. It's quite worrying, really, that if he keeps coming on as he is, they may as well just start building the statue, haven't they? Outside the ground.
Imagine that. We should talk a little bit about the fact that Arsenal are still part of that pack that are running for the top 4. Are they one of the stronger teams in that pack?
I'd say so. Recently, the form's been pretty good. They've really kicked on. Sanchez obviously is behind that, and I'd say that they're looking like the 3rd place team so far. I'd say.
Wow.
They're standing out there, and now it's going to be a real scrap for 4th place between the likes of United, the likes of Liverpool, the likes of Tottenham. I think Arsenal are really kicking on.
I think it's and I'm meaning no offence to Arsenal here, but I think it's still Arsenal syndrome where they have this period from the end of October to maybe the start of January where they look like they're going to win the league.
Yeah, and that's the time where you'll say they're going to finish second.
And then, well, maybe they can avoid it, maybe they can finish second, but usually
what an achievement.
A couple of injuries and then heads start to drop. They get a silly defeat away somewhere on a Monday night and then it all seems to go wrong. But I think they'll challenge City or Chelsea for second. I'm pretty sure they'll finish 3rd.
Serie A, and for some reason we're talking about Napoli-Roma. Napoli 2, Roma 0. Rafa Benitez.
It sort of clicked for him. I think the thing with this team is a lot of the scoring's on Higuain's shoulders.
Yeah.
First 8 games in Serie A, didn't score a goal. Now he scored 5 goals in 3 games. Against Roma, he was brilliant. Scored the goal, got the assist for the 2nd goal. So I think it's Rafa Benitez' team coming back together now and they'll really kick on. Tactically, they were really good, I thought. They pressed really well. The 2 banks of 4 were brilliant. They squeezed the game. Yeah. They sort of did a Roma. Roma have been doing that to a lot of teams in Serie A on the counter. And they've done a Roma on Roma, should we say.
Yeah, that is an interesting one, isn't it? And I mean, in Italian football right now, that's going to be quite effective football.
Yeah. I mean, Insigne's just brilliant. And Callejon as well. Yeah. I think he's been a really good signing. But I think with Benitez's teams, I know nobody outside the club seems to believe in him and his team, but it seems that the teams believe in him and he believes in the team, which I think was the same at Liverpool as well. With Roma, it's a strange one because they've gone from looking world beaters and then been destroyed by Bayern Munich at home. And obviously that must have knocked their confidence coming into the Napoli game. It really is strange. Where do Roma go from here? Well, they've still got all the talent. They've probably got one of the best squads in Europe. But I think Juventus might just run away with it.
Again, there's just quite a gap financially between Juve and all the other sides as well, aren't there? Which makes it quite difficult.
Yeah, and the Tevez factor as well.
Yeah, that too.
Because he's as brilliant as he was.
Callejon is now the top scorer in Serie A as well, 8 goals in 10 matches.
It's a good play. He's very good. You know, he makes the runs from wide positions to get into the box. He pretty much killed the game for Napoli. It's positive. That's what it is for Napoli at the moment. They're looking like they're really kicking on with Callejon leading the charge.
They look very dangerous. Whether they can catch Juve, I'm not convinced.
They're not fast enough to catch Juve.
No.
Thank you very much for watching. Also, thank you to Squawka Dave and Adam from Blue Moon Rising TV. Go and take a look at that. Also, subscribe because there's going to be some good videos to come, right? Until next time, that's football.